Welcome to another edition of your program, CamerFoot on Lion Striker Sports Television. It's another day where we are going to be bringing you Cameroon's football at its best with my crack team of panelists. On today's program, we shall be reviewing Cameroon's performance in the FIFA series. It was two games played, one won and one lost. They played against Australia and against China. We are also going to be looking at the National Division One Championship known as the M10 Elite One, which has gone past March the 12th. And of course, we shall be rounding up our discussions with the under 23s who were in camp in Alaves in Spain, where they played one game against the Bees of the B team of Spanish club Deportivo Alaves. On today's program, I am with my regular man, Miley Edmond, and of course, we have a debutant on the program making his debut on LT Sports, making his debut on CamerFoot, Giovanni Wane. Let's begin with you, Miley Edmond. Miley, welcome to the program.
Welcome, Wambo, and welcome, Giovanni. It's great to be here once again.
It's been a busy time for the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, both the Olympic team and the main national team in Australia and in China, respectively. Firstly, when you look at Cameroon's two games, the one against Australia and the one against China, what is your reading?
I mean, it was a take of two games. The first game against a well-studded Australian team qualified for the FIFA World Cup. And another game against Curacao. I mean, very, very recent name. I mean, new name.
Cameroon did not play against
China. Sorry, China. And we expect the bigger game was against Australia, where Cameroon showed its limitations when it comes to performances.
Ranked 27th in the FIFA rankings against Cameroon, ranked 45th. And so when China came ranked 93rd, they looked to be an easy prey for the Indomitable Lions.
Yeah, so it was a tale of two different games. Against Australia, Cameroon struggled. We struggled in order to be able to impose whatever system or rhythm that we had. The creativity was literally absent. The threat to goal was inexistent. We tried to be able to be solid behind, but that was not able to pay off against China. Thanks to the introduction of Nagida, there was more creativity from the left flank. We saw a couple of balls.
Shall be coming back into the games in detail. Giovanni, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mambo.
You also have a quick look at these two games that Cameroon played against Australia and against China, respectively. Some say, like Prof. Miley, a game of two tales. Games of two tales.
Well, games of two tales. It depends on what the coach was hoping to achieve because he didn't bring in the so-called regulars in the team. I mean, there were some players here and there that he brought in, especially in the first game. I was surprised he did just 3 changes because his intention was to try out other players,
see new players,
and then see how it
because that was a call for concern. And in his post-match press conference, he touched on that, saying that he didn't know how many changes he was allowed to make, which was strange.
That was a scandal. He didn't know how many changes there were to make. It goes a long way to show us the limitations that he had during this period. And the second game was a real salad, just players he called up, Barak, and a couple of others who, we saw some good things here and there. But the thing now is the follow-up. Is he going to follow up these players through to their clubs and then try to give them call-ups again? There are players in that team who, according to me, we were supposed to be getting call-ups with the other 23s.
Yonjo Mata,
Mungang
Emmanuel.
He's 19. So these players, there was nothing exceptional about them to see 19-year-olds must have
being forced in the national team because Yonjo is still playing for the Lille Academy. To imagine that he was called up to play for the main national team. It's quite a strange call.
Plus, Mungang's league has not even started. He's here to make his team.
He plays in Sweden for Landskrona Boys in the Swedish second tier.
So, lots of surprising decisions. Maya can them to playing.
Okay, let's take it game by game. Prof. Miley Edmond against Australia. We saw a Passy given the captaincy armband. We saw a back three, which we also saw during the AFCON, but it didn't work for Cameroon. Australia could have scored more goals. Cameroon did look threatening up front. Midfield creativity completely absent. It looked a flat performance but we only managed to escape with a goal in the back.
Yeah, I mean, they were solid behind. If you look at the goal, when you look at the score line, you'll be able to argue that defensively they were solid. They were able to keep Australia at bay for a good number of times. A passy,
Saved the
saved
penalty,
the
but still lost
penalty,
the game.
still lost the game. But the main problem, like it is a continuation of what we saw at the AFCON. I mean, Cameroon will not concede a lot of goals under Coach David Pagu. The problem is how many chances are we going to create
Create.
and how many goals are we going to be able to score. And that was laid bare against the game against Australia, where there was absolutely no creativity. There was no threat. There were no moments where people would stand up and shout that we missed that
There was the argument that that game was not a game of high stakes; it was a friendly game. But to imagine that the first two changes were made at the 76th minute and the third change at the 93rd minute, that too was curious because in a game where you want to see new players, you imagine that maybe during the second half, during the 60th minute, you throw in fresh legs, but that wasn't the case.
I mean, every game at the national team level is a game of stakes because if you take, for example, if you take out official tournaments where teams have to be able to participate, national teams play on average annually 6 to 9 games. So it means every game becomes a very, very
Important.
vital game because it's not like a club football
You're
where
building momentum. It's a snowball. As you keep winning, victories call victories.
yeah, so you help in order to create automation, people getting to be able to know each other. So every international window is an opportunity for your team to be able to gel more. So it has nothing to be able to do with time. This. You were expecting that there should have been able to be a continuation in the momentum that we saw from the AFCON, where there was a general feedback that, oh, given the time lapse that the new coach had, he could be able to get us to the quarterfinals without us underdoing ourselves. We did not. I mean, we are Cameroon, and we should be able to target um, championships every time we participated. But there was this buy that okay, it was short time, but I did not see that continuation in momentum. The games
Again,
against Australia.
the fact that there were 11 new players already brought into the team already showed that there was a disconnection from the AFCON momentum to this new team. Giovanni Wane, you also watched that first game. Many complained about creativity going forward, and the fact that there were so many new faces thrown into the mix. This automatically means you can't get it right.
I mean, with the coming in of a player like Fosso from Mali,
Olivier Ryan Fosso
Ryan
from
Fosso
Stonebras
from
and Olivier
Soldiers
Kandem
was
from Leski Sofia.
yeah, we expected, especially Ryan Fosso, come in and bring the creativity that we needed. That's before the game because in the game he was completely passive. And if you're going to switch nationality and come with so much expectations, you have to be a very good player because we are not sure
We are
or
hoping that
shy.
he's not coming in like Dina Ibimbe. Dina Ibimbe's case, even he can argue that he was played out of position, but also
Absolutely.
played in his rightful position,
Rightful
but
position.
failed to shine.
Fail to shine against what opponents? I mean, with all due respect to the soccer rules,
Ranks 27th in the world.
ranked
They're in the
27th in
World
the
Cup.
world, we have to be showing up against such
Such
short
teams.
teams.
Okay, we take our first break. When we come back, we wrap up our second break. Is it wrap up the discussion about the national team and what are with the second game, and then what is the way forward? Miley Edmond, if you are just joining us, you are on CamerFoot on LT Sports Television, broadcasting live from the Flexify Studios here in Molikoboya. Miley Edmond, Cameroon against China. China is not known for football. China is not one of football's soccer powerhouses. Cameroon showed up with a team that was extremely experimental, with the man from the sixth tier in Brazil giving the lock and the key of the midfield. Many new players. Simon Gapandiumbu playing for the first time as first keeper for Cameroon's national team and a clean sheet for him. Kudos to him for that. But the team did not look like one that would come out firing from all cylinders. But boy, they managed a 2-0 win thanks to goals from Kalita Eyong and Seydou Ali Mubarak, who scored his first goal in his first senior cap for Cameroon, winner of the Under 17 AFCON with Cameroon in 2019 in Tanzania.
I think in the second game against China, it tries to justify the thinking and the ideology of Coach Pago, who said he wanted to be able to see as many new players as
As
possible
possible.
who could be able to fit into the dynamics and the system that he's trying to be able to create. Um, kudos to him. In the first 10 minutes, Cameroon were 2 goals up, thanks to a very fleet-footed Nagida was creating all the magic at the left flank. Thereafter, surprisingly, Cameroon wanted to manage a 2-0 scoreline that they started leading at the ninth minute, or they had at the 9th minute. But again, we saw different players, we saw different portfolios, we saw different characteristics of the player. Yes, it's against China. I mean, it's not a household name that we probably think a 2-0 victory should be celebrated or sung across the streets. But I mean,
It's a win. Some say Pagu has won. Yes, there is a lot of scrutiny around David Pagu's job, Giovanni Wane, and this win came in time because some are already saying in 6 games he's already lost two. Mark Brees had was it 9 and 17 and lost two in his own first six. He had lost two already. This win was a lifesaver for Pagu and the federation, who are of course backing him up.
Absolutely. The thing is, David Paco is working in a very toxic environment. I mean, he got a red card in a friendly game. That just tells you all.
There was a stamping on Mael Fernandez, and
He lost his cool.
from the reviews we could see that he had reason to protest against the referee's call, but then the referee is the master.
Again, it was on Fernandez. Really enjoy to watch. A player that he called up while
From
they were
Gazelle F of Garua.
in camp, the local camp that he called. So yeah, I think Maya Fernandez is one of
The bright spots.
bright spots
Those two
from
games.
those 2 games
So he played in just one.
first off from the games that were played in Yaoundé before he was called up to the team. So yeah, I think he's under enormous pressure because he's working in a toxic environment.
How toxic is the environment, and why do you qualify toxic?
Very,
Because
very, very toxic. Because
tell us more.
already
They went to Australia without the national team coordinator Timothy Atuba Isama, without the national team manager Nicola Noji, which is raising eyebrows. We've
Yeah.
not had any justifications why these two were not there. We saw the team press officer playing the role of an assistant coach. So maybe that is why you qualify toxic.
And Mr. Muambo, those are just staffs, but when you look at it detailedly, the call up of Brian Burmo, I think it's something we need to evoke. He was called up to the team.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up.
But
He sent. I want to think that
we saw him training with Man United.
with Man United. He made it known to the staff officially that he wasn't going to come, and they needed him to come and run the test, which he didn't come.
A 40
Because-
hours journey to go and run a test.
Run a test.
Strange.
And he's been struggling at Manchester United for I think 4 games, no goals, no goal contribution. So he needed to stay back. I mean, if these are things that if the team was in one accord, if everything was moving okay, you would have heard from Romo himself, or maybe an official communication from the Cameroon Football Federation that okay, yeah, player could not come. Not even putting the player under the bus, saying okay, for reasons best known by the federation, the player did not come, and you'd like the population to respect the player at this point in time, not to go on and
Mbemu was missing from the call, not because he wasn't desired, but there were others who were undesired, like Mutolo, like Baleba, whom we thought were now going to be the vertebrate column of this team.
absolutely.
We saw him. We had 2 captains in those 2 games. Jackson Chachua captain, Davis Abasi captain. Whereas the team's captains were left out. Not talking about Abubakar Vincent and Onana and
Absolutely.
Zamboangisa, Carlos Baleba, and Notolo, you would think are the future of this team. And we haven't had clear reasons why they were dropped, but they were dropped.
And Prof. Edmond would agree with me that these players that you just called, they are from unofficial sources. We haven't heard the federation come out to say this player wasn't called up because of
This reason or
discipline,
that reason.
But we know people who are very close. Jean knows.
Like
Very
George,
close.
like
George
George
Bimbe.
Bimbe,
Very
who
close.
was saying that they were left out for disciplinary reasons. We haven't heard any
I mean,
problems
when
of that nature.
things of that sort happen, it shows that we are working in a toxic environment.
I mean, and here is where the federation certainly does not manage across the world during international breaks. It is understood that some players would usually request that they should be left out because, for one reason or the
Or
other,
another.
maybe they are recovering from an
Well,
injury.
we have seen cases of players who called to be left out, like Francois Regis Mouquet, who missed the AFCON in
The
Cote
AFCON in
d'Ivoire,
Cote d'Ivoire.
and the FA went down on him with the sledgehammer. That alone has
He
taken his
hasn't
career
recovered.
upside
Yeah,
down.
and because let's just take a with the England squad. I mean, a
The
good
Arsenal players
Arsenal players after the first game
withdrew from the
withdrew,
team.
not out of injury. I mean, they'll say, oh, they're going back to their clubs, but it's usually a request and say, okay, coach, what's your philosophy? Our philosophy is that we want to be able to test new players. And you saw with the two games England played, they had understudies were tested by Tuchel, and so
And that caused them a game in Wembley
I mean,
for a long time.
it caused them
If
a
he's
game.
under pressure, he shouldn't be so sure he can be
But,
fired too.
but the thing is, you have to be able to communicate your philosophy with the club and the federation. And the club, okay, we are getting to the business end. Our issue with Cameroon here is we try to be able to make everything under control, then it creates controversy. It is absolutely okay for the federation to be able to say, yes, we all do understand that Buemo is a key player, but he has asked for us to be able to excuse
Spare
him
him in this particular window.
because United is getting into the business end, and we really do not have stakes play in the FIFA series. This. Everybody would understand, but rather to try and create because even Baleba has not been in good form. But once you try and send out a message about indiscipline, it turns into something
But
different.
that wasn't from an official source, though, of course, Giovanni says they are close to the FA and they can give us information. Now, 25 players were present in Australia. Only three did not play any game. London, the goalkeeper from Boulogne, then the goalkeeper from Gazelle,
Husseini.
Hussein Hassan.
and also the home based player Sage Elundunjomo from
From
Fortuna and Fu. These three did not play, but the other 22
Two
or
players.
so had a run in these games. Now, if you were to give a rating on 10, these two games, what would that rating be?
I mean,
Pagu and his players.
to Paco and his players, given the fact that it's a new philosophy that I want to be, I would give them a 5.5.
5.5 on 10. That's a pass mark, though an average one. Giovanni Wane.
I don't want to be so hard on them. I mean, there were games to test players, and test players he did, but it's still Cameroon. We have to win games. I think a 5 on 10 is.
You were not hard on them, but you gave them a 5. Profu was hard, give them a 5.5. It was a game to test players, and players were tested, and we saw new players. Mael Fernandez Monyebe is a star to watch on. To watch for the future. We also saw a new right back in Olivier Kandem. We are hoping that the building continues, not another demolition and starting again from scratch,
It was
like
too.
Conrad Fanso from Panther, who also gave us a tip of the iceberg. He wasn't brilliant, but we saw promise. So we're hoping that Paco can now build on this and go forward and actually build because we keep on constructing and reconstructing. One day the house will stand. Welcome back to the program. This is Kame Sports on LT Sports Television with me, Mwambo Edward, and Giovanni Wane and Miley Edmond. We are going to be talking about the MTN Elite One Championship, which has gone past the first phase. We have already had the champion of the first phase. We have gone past the first 12 playing this Miley Edmond. Municipal of Bafang are the champions of the first phase. No one saw that coming. We thought Colombo Futanilobo had a 5-star recruitment. We thought Dynamo of Douala had done a wonderful recruitment. Municipal under coach Ndam Noram have blown all and sundry away, and they are champions after 12 playing this.
Yeah, I mean they've done a marvelous job taking into consideration that one they're coming from Elite Two, and this is their first season back in the big time, and they did not start the season too well. So we thought that this was a season where they would be able to struggle for survival. But boy, have they been able to get on a good run, and they had the momentum and they had the wins in their sales, and they've been able to win the key matches because if you look at the games head to head, PWC, the one against PWD, the one against Cotton Sport. They had a draw game against Column. These are direct rivals, or direct contenders to the championship. And for Unisport under Laurent Jam should have been able to have this kind of result shows how well they've been able to prepare. Somebody can be able to argue that it is an open season where anybody can be able to. We don't have that stranglehold that we used to have in the Cotton Sport or from the columns who were able to dominate the league from start to end. But it's an open season. But kudos to Unisport for them being able to do well. 4 points gap between themselves and Cotton Sport.
A goalkeeper who is doing sense and wonders.
Signs and
He
wonders.
has kept 8 clean sheets now.
Every single
in 12
game.
games.
And they are replicating the kind of form that we saw from Column last season. We know that Column last season was very solid behind. They did not lose, but they did not concede a lot of goals. So they are in that kind of form, they're in that kind of pattern. And yeah, they will still be able to want to play down their title ambitions. I think they are safe for this season with the kind of form that they have. But if they continue this after five playing days again in the second phase, they become real contenders and they will now be able to we have to be able to take them seriously to win the championship.
Giovanni Wani, Le Flambeau de l'Ouest, known back in the days, have come back to the big time with a bang.
They are back with a bang, and one thing comes to mind when I look at this sport now, UMS of Blue, because this is they are running under the same dynamic. I mean, they have a coach Laurent Jamou, thrives with senior players, older players. By Rostan, the last
Junior on
time
standby,
Junior
former
was
player of
standby.
Dragon of Yaoundé, where he finished
He's
as top
coming
league
back
scorer
to the limelight now. Very experienced
after
player,
spells in Asia.
and it's Alphonse Marit. These players are very.
Alphonse Marie changed you from Equatorial Guinea.
If he was at Equatorial Guinea, he's been to Cotton Sports, he's been to Eden
It is
Sports, the
part of Lekki.
Lekki. One time Ballon d'Or winner, I think 2017. So he's gone for the old heads. Experience.
And they are showing their experience.
It's what he's gone for. He's assembled these experienced players. He won the championship in 2019. We were in a forum where I was congratulating him for the good job he's been doing, because why on earth is he still in Cameroon? In the under 23s had a camp in Spain, and he's the assistant manager of
The assistant managers of the under 23s,
Under
who
23.
we're going to be discussing later on, were all in Cameroon.
Yes.
Len Emin, Jam Lorang, Moto Awolos,
you know,
even their team press officer, David
David
Nyengi,
Yengi.
were all
So
in Cameroon. So
yeah,
strange one.
blessings to Laurent Jam. He stuck to his guns. He had a couple of field spells with other clubs here and there, but finally he's proven to be the man again in the local championship. And if K is not taking everything goes his way, he could just go all the way to snapping the championship.
7 games played in match day 12, Miley, and we had 4 wins and 3 draws, 2 home wins. Aigle de la Menua and Municipal Bafang won at home. Aigle now, of course, have a new coach because Anise Kong was shown the door and he has been replaced. Municipal Bafang won at home. There were 2 away wins. Gazelle and Fovazu won away from home, and there were just 3 clean sheets in
Panther too has
match
lost
day one.
their coach.
Panther were coming to
Yves
Panther.
Kemaru.
If Kamaruga, who's walked away, his was coming because Justin Kamge had just been brought in as assistant, and before we knew it, Aruga was out of the door. So let's look at the games game by game. We had Fortuna Mfu played against Fovazu, and Fovazu carried the day 1-0. Fovazu have a new coach as well,
Yep.
right? Because Olivier Nankam had been
Olivier
sacked
Nankam
and
was
been replaced by Theodore Ngacho. And then they won their game against Fortuna as 0 goals to 1. Fortuna, whose players are saying that they've gone for multiple months without salaries. Postpone the D and his players are gnashing their teeth. It's not going for them. Junior Trison Bimbong got the goal for Fovazu. Dinamo of Douala and Amenda played to a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw.
The Abakwa boys threw away a 2-goal
Two-goal lead,
because
yeah.
there were goals from Junior Gimbat and Talikum Elwood Banta, former player of Isosa, and then Dinamo replied through Joseph Alexandre Bayi and Eric Beck.
The goal from Bayer was a stunner.
Pib Amenda, a team you would have thought if they would had maximized their chances, they would be in the run for the league. They are still in that run, but they could have done better because they threw away vital points in games that they were in absolute control.
Well, PB Bamenda has an exciting team. That's the first thing. They've been playing really exciting football, especially in Bamenda. So going away was
The fortress as it has been back in the
back
years.
in the years. So going in hostile territory, what used to be a hostile territory, playing the one man job wasn't easy. But they threw away the lead, as you quite rightly said. And the goalkeeping compartment has really been an issue with Ningche.
Ningche,
between
we thought he'll be.
This was supposed to be
the season of confirmation for him.
Yeah, but he still has some lapses he has to work on. But having said that, it was an exciting game
For the neutrals.
for the neutrals to watch. Yeah.
Mainly Edmond, the CamerFoot sledgehammer came down very hard on column of Daniel Lobo, and even before that, they've been struggling under Coach Shatoa, who has been handed a 6-month ban and a fine of 5 million francs. The club itself has to pay 30 million francs, and their entire first 11 in that Super Cup Cup game against Panther have all been handed a two-match ban. And then their president, Dr. Ejane Doko, banned for is it 2 years or 1 year, and to pay
He's
a
been
heavy fine as well.
he's been suspended for 2 seasons.
So, with all these struggles, they were up against a struggling Egle of Menua, and they lost.
30 million. Sorry, how much were they supposed to win in the trophy? They can just use that.
So I mean,
To balance it up,
we all know that when Colom and during the General Assembly on live television, on world television, openly claimed or openly protested that they had not been able to receive prize monies for the past couple of seasons for their championship,
which is a fact.
for the Cameroon Cup and all of that. I mean, people who were used to Cameroon football knew that there was going to be a clapback from the authorities.
From the vindictive federation, because they always clamp down on those who speak up.
Uh, Unfortunately for Colom or whatever situations you want to look at, we had the Champions Trophy, the Super Trophy Cup, where that incident happened, and everybody like, oh, I mean, what is going to happen? The sanctions did come down, like Giovanni is saying. I mean, normally in accounting, basic principles of accounting, there has to be subtraction and addition. If the federation is owing Colom, let's say 500 million or 400 million, all they have to be able
Reduce
to
that
do
small
is
share.
they take the 30
So
million
the debt is reducing.
and then they give
They might also take out towards 5 million.
towards 5 million, and then they pay the balance.
Okay.
But I think
That's if they'll pay.
I mean that should be, because if I'm Colom, you're owing me. I mean it's basic common sense. If you're owing me 1,000 and you want me to give you 300 francs, I should not bring you 300 francs and ask you for 1,000. It should really be like, bring me 700 francs. So, but
Okay.
there's a certain level of destabilization around Colom.
It's taking a toll on their play.
Hopefully they can be able to see through the season and see how they can bounce back next season, because this season for them, I mean, I think it's over.
It's one to forget. Blaise Ndifochu, the former player of the Abakwa Boys, got the winner for Aigle de la Menua. Winsport Bafang won against Cotton Sport Garua, 1-0-0 as well. Rostan Mbai, your man Giovanni Wane, was a goal scorer in that game. Winsport Bafang had a lot of fanfare. You could see portraits of all of their players before the game against Cotton Sport. That was a beautiful sight for Cameroon's football. Cameroon Sportif of Yaoundé are also struggling. They are not getting it right at all. Even under coach Patrice Nuke, it's not happening for Lemekop Mengonda. They lost at home to Gazelle FA of Garua. Jean Osama Godia goal at the 94th minute, replying to Ballon d'Or winner Serge Daoura's brace. Still difficult to understand why he was not part of the Cameroon team in Australia, but the coaches had the final say. Egle Jumongo, who now have a new coach because their former coach has been sacked. He's been replaced by Bagafue, the vastly experienced coach who has now taken over there. And it's a Bagafue. They drew 1-1 with Panther Sportif of Nde, who to have a new man in charge in Justin Kamge. Jamis Samuel Angwebele got the goal for Aigle, while George Mbaga Atejoe scored the goal for Panther Sportif Dunde. Opopo were up in Limbe against Star Rena of Melon. Junior Yan Zemenge scored twice, while Ubeb Ramadan and Mustafa Ngai Bisene, who is coming back from a spell in Argentina and he's in good form, got the second goal for Starina of Melon. Starina, who are also fired their coach because they fired Suleiman Abubakar and they brought in the vastly experienced Sango Emmanuel Lubeboso, who has hit the ground running for them. But in Limbe, that game wasn't without incidents, like always in Limbe. Giovanni Wane, the fans of Starina of Melon were down on the necks of the refs, claiming poor officiating or probably intentionally.
Can you guess who officiated the game?
I can't guess. I can't guess.
I think we'd leave it at that. I mean, the officiating from what I hear was scandal, and as always, now the games are being played in game, because when the games were played at the Centenary Stadium, more fans could come in, flocking cameras and all sorts of apparatus were used to film the games. But now in game, people still come in, but not as many, which gives them the leverage to go about their business as usual.
Okay, Emo, let's wrap up with this before we look at the league standings and all of that. In Douala, the game between Dinamo and Pibamenda wasn't without its own incidents. Journalist Gael Mujogedi was blocked at the gate from entering, though her name was on the list of journalists who were supposed to cover the game. You and I and Giovanni Wane, what explains this? We are hearing lots of
And she just coming from a
hearsay
seminar
stories.
where she was
She was one
a
of
tutor,
the tutors at the seminar organized by
organized by
God knows who,
organized by Priscille Messene and then
and
backed by
CamerFoot,
sponsored by Fika Food.
and charlatans were brought in, strange journalists. I am not insulting anybody. Gaia Mujo is a seasoned journalist for CRTV. She was blocked at the entrance for reasons that you and I are yet to put hands on.
Yeah, I mean, the federation should. This is one other controversy that they could have been able to not live with it.
When I say they are vindictive, you don't seem to want to follow me on that line.
Because you realize that, I've seen a couple of people try to make the argument that their image rights have been given to MSI, and but this is what people should be able to know. Image rights.
Should we even discuss this now, Prof. Maeli? When they say they've given MSI the image rights to broadcast the Cameroon League, under what circumstances?
No.
What are the terms of those
I
broadcasting
don't
rights?
even want to go into that.
That is why I don't even want to hear that they've given someone the broadcasting rights.
Because even when broadcasting rights are given to one media station,
That
journalists
does
are
not
still,
prevent others from.
journalists are still allowed. But they are allowed under certain guidelines. They come and watch the game. You can
Take your
report.
notes.
You can report it like a news item. You can report it as a story. But if when it comes to
The content
images, you now have to be able to go to the right holder, like
and
okay,
get images.
you'll be able to give it to that. So I don't see why Gaia will be prevented. She did not come as a match covering tool.
She did not come as Raphael Koa. She came as Gael Mujo, who has been team press officer for multiple games in Douala under the same federation. How now she turns out to be the enemy, only God knows. But the Elite One Championship is moving on. You can see from the tables that these four Bafang are currently the league leaders, and of course they are holding on firm to that particular position. They have still to play 12 games and assert themselves as the champions. Unisport top with 26 points, unbeaten in their last 4 games, 3 wins and 1 draw. Unisport are the honorary champions of the first phase of the championship. Players with hat trick in this championship so far after the first 12 playing days: Ari Jefter of Dynamo, Tongan, Essian of Stade Rennais, Gilles Frank Steli Peto, the Popo defender who scores goals for fun, also has one. The defender with the most goals is Gilles Frank Peto. We have no penalties recorded in match day 12 in this championship where things are happening.
Red cards
This
recorded.
championship of red cards and penalties, that was a strange one. Top 3 teams, like I saw, with the most clean sheets: Unisport with 8, wonderful goalkeeper. Fortuna have 6, goalkeeper Haji Aliyu, who was left out in coach Pagu's team. Cotton Sport of Garua, Colom, Canon, Egid Lamino, and Fovazu all have 5 clean sheets each. Team with the most goals considered: Fortuna of Fu and Egg of Mongo, 16 goals, while Fortuna of Egid Lamino and Opopo have also considered 16. Stade Rennais has considered 19. Strange, Giovanni Bambiwane. Top for the top 3 teams, Dynamo, top 3 teams with the most goals scored: Dynamo 19, Opopo 18, Cotonsport and Stade Rennais 17. Teams with the least goals scored: Parquet of Nde, Fovazu, and Aigle du Mongo. So that's the league for you after 12 playing this. After the first round, Municipal of Bafang, Le Flambeau de l'Ouest is back and back with the bang. Welcome back to the program. This is CamerFoot on Lion Striker Sports Television with me, Mwambo Edward, and my crack team of analysts, Giovanni Wane and Miley Edmond. Prof, we are wrapping up with our discussion, but let's talk about this one. It's our last talking point. The Olympic national team was also in camp. It was international window. And a team of players based in Europe was assembled by coach Guy Armand Fechine in Alaves. They were in camp. They played one friendly against the reserves of the reserve team of Alaves, and they won the game by 1 goal to nothing. Many look at this camp, and there are rumors that it was an arranged camp because I saw Ivan Kemwe, the coach of the under 20s. I saw Ange Berbaga, the coach, the national technical director, but the assistants of Guy Fechine were not there. That is curious.
It sends a lot of wrong signals to as what is happening when it comes to football administration. Now, the first question I always ask, it should be a national team training. It should be national under 23, national under 17, national under 19, national under 20. this notion of trying to be able to have people who are based only in Europe have their training camp, people who are based only in Cameroon have their
We are
training.
yet to see a training camp for Cameroon-based players in that category.
That is a story that they are trying to be able to push, that there will be another training camp just for local players. Mind you, the window for these international breaks are very, very, very few. So when are we going to be able to see the teams gel? So you start asking, then you come to the fact that the national team, from the technical perspective, is a whole college of nutritionists, physiotherapists, kineotherapists, technical
Even the media officer, because
media
when you look at
officer.
the pictures, they are giving credit to a photographer, whereas they had a team that they put out there.
So,
They took who they wanted.
so
Giovanni is saying Shanaha is about to replace my
He
friend
was part of the team
it was
already.
part of. I mean, that shows the level
David
of
Oyedepo.
disarray that we find.
Anarchy.
Anarchy, because why would the head coach be there? Then the assistants are not there. So what role do the assistants play?
Could it be a problem of cost, Joe? Maybe the resources were limited because we hear that this stash was sponsored, or this campaign was sponsored by the managers of these players from on official sources. We cannot say with emphasis, still unverified, but that's what is we are hearing. That is why Jam Laurent, Len Eme, Moto Awolos, David Inyenge, who are part of that technical staff, were not there. So probably those who sponsored preferred to have fewer people. Then you begin to ask, under what grounds was Ivan Kemo there and Ajibien Braga?
Of what benefit was the camp to Cameroon and Cameroonians?
We
Because
we
have,
saw Bashiru Koto, who plays for Man United, as captain
if
already. We have taken him on our side because he was in two minds between England and
it,
Cameroon.
it could be done, it could be done in Cameroon. I mean, you could blend them with the local talent we have here. Ari Jefta is not 23. You know, he was caught up with the local team before Pabu made up his team, and others have been talking about Munga and Emmanuel and the others. You know, the real under 23s that we've known them in Cameroon, and blend them with others from out there and see what he could produce. You know, Ivan Kimwe is noted for having camps virtually everywhere, but he's never qualified for the AFCON
In his
with his
category.
category. He's never won the UNIFAC. So he's going to come back to Cameroon and have a separate stash with over 100 players. You know, those things are just businesses that are being done. That's not how you develop football.
That's the bottom line. That particular camp was business. Though there was a game against the reserves of a team in the
And
in
an
Spain.
A side played the B side.
And the A side played the B side in their own two games. I saw around the world the way countries against countries. In our case, wasn't the case. Miley Edmond, we've run through our time. It was nice having you on the program.
It was nice always being here. I mean, Joe graced our studios today, so we look forward to another edition of CamerFoot.
Hope you has come to stay. Giovanni Wane, hope you've come to stay.
Yeah, hopefully, unforeseen circumstances could come up, but I'm a keen viewer of the program, always follow, and I would advise all those out there to give the strength needed to Mr. Mwambo Edwards and the team to continue producing this program.
Let unforeseen circumstances spare us. We need Giovanni Wane on this set every now and then. I want to say a big thank you to the management of the Flexify Studios from where we are broadcasting here in Boyam, and to our technical man, the brain behind everything. His name is Fun Loving. He is a wonderful gentleman. Thank you for being there. We've been Mwambo, Maeli, and Wane saying until next time, bye bye from CamerFoot.